Hello there. Marvin here again, once again, your wonderful friend, your loyal friend, Marvin. Yes, I hope you're having a good day. Yes, let me share something very important today. Everything is important, but let me share something important again today. As we talk about winds of change that are happening around the world, it's important to remind ourselves of certain things or pick up lessons that can help us forge into the future. And obviously, winds of change are happening everywhere. Winds of change are happening in America, Latin America, Europe, Africa. My focus is on Africa on this particular occasion. But also something I want to point out is I feel, and I felt this for quite a number of years, I feel that there's an amalgamation of the African American and American communities, or the peoples are being brought together. Don't miss that. Some people will miss this for different reasons. One of the reasons is lack of sensitivity. But if you're sensitive to the times, if you're really, and some of these things, sometimes they're a little bit obvious. You don't even need to be a spiritual person. You don't even have to have an intellectual mind. Some things are just straightforward. And I think that what's happening in the time is really, really straightforward. But anyway, those of you that have known me for a number of years, you've followed my life, you know that when I came to the States, it was a little bit of a surprise. When I came to the United States, where I live now, I don't want to get too much into this history of how it happened and whatnot. But when it happened, which was a surprise to me, when that opportunity came to come to the United States, I was surprised. But I took it as a challenge. It was overwhelming, because I said to myself, for the first time, I'm going to see what America is like. There was always that curiosity about. I was always curious to see and to know what America is like. And sometimes over here, people ask me, "What brought you to America?" And my only reason, which is true, and that's what I give them, it was curiosity. Curiosity is what brought me here. But I've learned over the years that part of the reason why I came was to learn specific things, to actually have certain things revealed to me. So how to explain this probably is to begin by saying that the world is run by systems, all right? Systems that can escape the blind eye, all right? The world is run by systems. When I arrived in the US in 2016, one of my mother figures, who is also from Africa, in Zambia in particular, said to me that you can't understand the world if you don't understand America. At the time, what she said was a bit too heavy for me to understand, but I've gained more understanding the longer I've stayed in the US. So she said you cannot understand the world if you don't understand America. And it now makes sense because America is considered to be the beacon of light to the world. Beacon of light, we have to assess what that light is. Okay, so yeah, we'll get back to it if we do get a few minutes to share more insight on that one. And America is the leader of the free world. That's what we've been told. America is the leader of the free world. That's what we've been told. Okay, so I'm just repeating what has already been said by others who are experts in these things. So there's certain things I've been able to understand about the American society, which is why you've seen that I've been very, very keen on talking about racism. Why? Because the world is run by systems. One of those systems is the race system, systemic racism, if you like. Initially, I thought that systemic racism was just a problem of America. But systemic racism is a global issue. The reason we don't see it with our blind eyes or with our physical eyes is because it manifests in different forms in different environments. Depending on the people, depending on the laws of the land, and depending on a number of other factors. All right? So having seen systemic racism in operation in America, it's given me a very good understanding why the world is what it is today. And those are some of the things that in the future I hope to be able to share in greater detail. But to give you an understanding of how important the understanding of systems is, because it will help us, especially those of us who are believers, who connect every problem in life to demons or the devil. demons or the devil. Every problem, poverty is the devil. This and that, the devil. People get sick, it's the devil. So it will help us understand that that in itself is not accurate. All right? So believers in particular, we have a very, very shallow, if any, we have a very, very shallow, if any, understanding of systems. Now, the body itself, as big as the body is run by systems. Without those systems, our bodies cannot have life. All right? So I think there's an average of 6 systems, maybe more, maybe 8. I can't remember the exact figure there. But one of those systems that run the body or govern the body, our physical bodies, is the reproductive system is one of them. The respiratory system, the skeletal system, the muscular system, the immune system, the reproductive system. I may have repeated 1 or 2 there. But yeah, those are just examples of those systems. Basically, the body is a collection of systems. So the world itself as well is a collection of systems. And until we understand those systems, we cannot understand what is happening to our world. So believers, Christians, religious people like to just simplify everything by simply saying that it's the devil. Because sometimes, and it's true, sometimes, in some cases it's the devil. I agree, absolutely. But there are very, 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 very few things that are going on around the world that are as a result of the devil. Okay? And this is going to surprise a lot of people, especially believers, because we've led people to believe that every problem is the devil. All right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that and how we can get out of that trap. The idea of sharing this for me today was to bring our attention to the fact that the world is governed by systems, economic system, all kinds of systems. But a part of those systems, one of the major components of those systems is the race system, systemic racism. Systemic racism is rampant. I'm just learning now in my latter stages of living things I would have known when I was much younger, when I was a youth. And this brings me to another point, that I just feel like the church, religious people, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, all of us, that we've done such a disservice to our youth generation because we don't teach them these things. We just tell them about the devil, and we convince them that if they just pray, everything will be fine. And yet we've run decade after decade, decade after decade, and life is even getting worse. So what really is the problem? And this for me is the purpose of this sharing. The major problem, and I want us to take responsibility as grown-ups, especially those of you that have kids who are parents. I consider myself a parent. I don't have kids, but I'm a parent, and I hold myself responsible. We have not done a good job in informing our young people. And that's why they are enslaved by ignorance. And they think everything is the devil, and we have to be saved by God. And it's this idea that we have to be saved by God. It's this same idea that other people that we know have taken advantage of, and they always portray themselves to us as our saviors. We know who I'm talking about. Africa was colonized because certain people came and said, we are your saviors. So, and now that we've got this gap where we are not nourishing our young people with information that they need to have, with an understanding of how the world operates today, is the reason they have this mentality of looking to a human savior. Okay, there's a lot to share here, and there's a lot to break down. I'm going to stop here for now, but I will definitely give you much more meat as we progress. I also would like to interact with you. Please write in your comments, send me messages, get in touch with me. A lot of you people have my contacts. Get in touch with me. These conversations, we need to start having them more seriously and more intensely for a revolution to happen. Times have changed. Opportunity is being turned into our hands, particularly as Africans and African Americans. But if we don't learn lessons, we'll get nothing out of the opportunity. That's the reason I'm sharing this. So I'll come back with a lot more. Please send comments. Let's have conversations about these things and educate each other. It's extremely, extremely important. And I'm going to repeat the statement I made about how we as grown-ups have failed our young people. Mass unemployment across Africa because there are things we are not telling them. And even when they go to church, they are just taught scriptures. But they come out not knowing anything about how the world is run. This has to change. Thank you so much for listening. I'll come back some other time. Have a good one. God richly bless you. Bye.